All right, everyone, get ready because today we're going deep, really deep into the future of digital marketing. And we're going to be looking at a question that I think is on a lot of people's minds these days. Is SEO really dying? And for this deep dive, we have this really interesting source here. It's called SEO, Not Dead Yet, but Dying, Navigating the Digital Marketing Evolution in 2025.
Yeah, and I think interesting might actually be an understatement. The source really doesn't pull any punches.
Awesome.
It comes right out and says that traditional SEO, as most people know it, is on its way out. It's fading away.
Okay, so maybe not dead yet, but fading away. I guess it's, I don't know, maybe slightly less scary. But I mean, why though? What's behind this whole shift?
Well, the source points to a few different things. One of the biggest ones is the rise of artificial intelligence, especially in search engines. And we're not just talking about algorithms anymore. This is like sophisticated AI that's getting really good at understanding what people are really looking for when they search, the context and their intent. It's pulling information from all sorts of places to give people really personalized answers.
So what you're saying is, instead of just giving us a page full of links based on a few keywords, these new search engines, they're actually like doing the work for us, like summarizing the information
Yeah.
and giving people exactly what they need without even having to click on a link.
Exactly. You know how you see those featured snippets and those knowledge panels? That's AI in action, shaping what we see in the search results.
Yeah.
And the source argues that as this AI gets even more advanced, it's going to keep chipping away at traditional organic search traffic.
Wow. Okay, that's kind of a big deal, right? I mean, that sounds like a huge shift. But what does this all mean for businesses and all those content creators out there who rely on organic traffic for their income?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. The source basically says that this whole change in how people are searching, it's forcing businesses to rethink their whole approach, especially when it comes to paid advertising.
Oh, okay. So are they saying that paid ads are basically becoming the only way to get noticed online?
Well, not exactly. They're saying that it's important to have a hybrid approach, but they do acknowledge that paid advertising is becoming more and more important, and there's a big economic reason for that.
Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more about that.
I mean, think about it. Search engines, they're businesses too, right? They need to make money somehow. And paid advertising models like PPC, they offer guaranteed visibility. You pay, you get seen, and you can measure your return on investment really easily, which you can't always do with organic search. And as AI keeps changing how search works, the source suggests that search engines are probably going to give even more priority to those paid placements.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that definitely makes sense from like a pure business perspective. But I don't know, it feels a little I don't know, a little unfair maybe. Like it seems like the playing field is tilting in favor of the people with the most money to spend. Does the source say anything about that?
Yeah, they do address that concern. They argue that businesses basically need to be smarter with how they allocate their marketing budgets now. It's not just about throwing money at ads and hoping for the best. It's about being strategic. It's about really understanding your audience, like we were talking about before, and creating really high quality content that connects with people.
So it's still about creating good content, but now we also need to be really savvy about promoting it with paid advertising.
Exactly. The source calls this a blended approach, combining that credibility and brand building power of organic content with I guess you could say, the more immediate and measurable impact of paid campaigns.
All right. Yeah, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. But it definitely feels like there's a lot to unpack still. Does the source actually dive deeper into these strategies anywhere?
It does. There's actually a mention of this book called Digital Marketing 2025 by Peter Woodford. Sounds like it explores all this stuff in a lot of detail.
Oh, very interesting. Well, you've definitely piqued my curiosity. I think we need to dive into that book a little bit later on. But first, let's break down this idea of a blended approach a bit more. What does that actually look like in practice? How can businesses navigate this whole shift without feeling like they're constantly trying to play catch up?
That's a really good question. And it's something that the source touches on too. They recommend that businesses really focus on building diverse revenue streams. In other words, don't just rely on your website traffic for everything. Think about things like membership programs, online courses, even direct partnerships with advertisers.
So basically, don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? Diversify your income streams. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, exactly. And the source also talks about how important data-driven decision-making is in this new landscape. You need to really understand what your audience is doing online, like how they're behaving, what kind of content they're responding to, how they're finding your stuff in the first place. And there are tools out there that can help with this. They mentioned HubSpot, which can give you really detailed analytics and insights.
HubSpot. Okay, that sounds familiar. Can you remind us, what is that exactly, and how can it be helpful for businesses?
Yeah, so HubSpot is like this comprehensive marketing and sales platform. It's got all these different tools all in one place, like for email marketing, social media management, customer relationship management, that's CRM for short, and of course, analytics. It basically gives businesses this central hub where they can manage all their digital marketing stuff, track their progress, and get a much better understanding of what's working and what's not.
So in this world where SEO is changing so much and paid ads are becoming more and more important, a tool like HubSpot can help businesses make smarter decisions based on real data.
Exactly. It's all about using technology to your advantage.
All right, okay, that's starting to make more sense. So we're not just randomly throwing money at ads. We're using data and tools like HubSpot to make sure that our message is actually reaching the right people. But what about the content itself? Is there anything specific that we should be doing differently with content in this new landscape?
Yeah, so remember how we talked about AI understanding user intent? Well, that's a huge factor when it comes to content creation, too. The source really emphasizes the importance of creating content that actually provides real value and answers specific questions that your target audience is asking.
So it's not just about keywords anymore. It's about creating content that actually helps people.
Exactly. It's about thinking like your ideal customer. What are they searching for online? What problems are they trying to solve? And then create content that directly addresses those needs. The source suggests that this type of content is much more likely to rank well, even in this AI-driven search environment.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about providing real value, not just trying to game the system. So just to recap, we've got this shift toward AI-powered search, the increasing importance of paid advertising, the need for data-driven decisions, and this emphasis on creating valuable content. That's a lot to think about.
It is, but the source is actually really optimistic. They argue that all these changes, while they're definitely challenging, they also present a huge opportunity for businesses and content creators who are willing to adapt and embrace new strategies.
And that's where this Digital Marketing 2025 book comes in, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that can give us some more clues on how to navigate all of this and actually thrive in this new digital marketing landscape.
Yeah, definitely worth exploring. So, yeah, this book, Digital Marketing 2025, it really gets into the details of this whole changing digital landscape. And it seems like it agrees with a lot of what we were just talking about from that SEO is dying source, but it takes things a step further and gives some real actionable strategies for businesses to actually thrive in this new world.
Okay, I'm ready to get into the nitty-gritty.
Right.
What are some of the biggest takeaways from the book that really jumped out at you?
Well, one of the main themes throughout the book is this idea of really embracing a customer-centric approach. Woodford's argument is that in this new world where everything is so personalized, understanding your audience is more important than ever. He says you need to go beyond just basic demographics like age and location and really dig deep into what motivates them, what their pain points are, what they're hoping to achieve.
So it's not just about knowing their age and where they live. It's about understanding what makes them tick, what keeps them up at night.
Exactly. And Woodford actually gives some interesting frameworks for how to gather this kind of information. He talks about how important qualitative research is. It's not just about data points, it's about actually talking to your customers, conducting surveys, really analyzing their feedback. And he also talks about this thing called social listening, which is basically monitoring online conversations and trends to get a better understanding of what your target audience is talking about and what's resonating with them.
Okay, that makes sense. If you want to create content that really connects with people, you need to understand them on a deeper level. But how does this whole customer-centric approach actually translate into real marketing strategies? Does he give any specific examples in the book?
He does. He talks a lot about the importance of creating these personalized experiences across all the different ways that you interact with your customers. This could mean things like tailoring your email marketing campaigns based on what they've bought in the past or what they've looked at on your website, using dynamic content that changes depending on who's viewing it, or even using chatbots to provide personalized customer support.
So basically, you're creating a unique experience for each individual customer, That sounds really impressive, but also really complicated.
It can be, but Woodford says that the technology is out there to make this level of personalization possible. He talks about things like marketing automation platforms, CRM systems, AI-powered tools, all these things that can help you gather data, analyze how your customers are behaving, and even automate those personalized interactions.
So it's another example of how technology can be a really powerful tool, but it's not a replacement for human creativity and ingenuity. It's about using these tools to understand our customers better and build those meaningful connections.
Exactly. And that actually leads into another big takeaway from the book, the importance of storytelling. Woodford argues that even in a world where everyone's obsessed with data, being able to tell compelling stories that resonate with your audience is more important than ever.
I love that. It's a good reminder that at the end of the day, marketing is still about connecting with people on an emotional level.
Hmm.
But how do we tell those effective stories in this new digital world? Does Woodford have any advice on that?
He does. He talks a lot about the importance of being authentic, being transparent, even being vulnerable. He says that businesses should share their brand story, their values, even the challenges they've faced in a way that connects with their target audience. And he's a big believer in user-generated content, basically letting your customers tell their own stories about your brand, which can help build trust and credibility.
That's a great point. People are way more likely to trust what their friends and family say about a product than they are to trust some fancy marketing campaign. So by using user-generated content, you're letting your customers do the marketing for you in a way.
Exactly. It's tapping into that power of word-of-mouth marketing and social proof. Woodford also talks about visual storytelling, using images, videos, even interactive content to grab people's attention and make your message more engaging. He suggests experimenting with different platforms like Instagram Reels, TikTok videos, interactive quizzes, things like that.
So it's about finding the right medium to tell the right story to the right people. And it sounds like we need to be willing to try new things and experiment a bit to see what works best.
Definitely. Woodford is all about this mindset of constantly learning and adapting. He says the digital world is always changing, and the only way to keep up is to embrace those changes, be open to new ideas, and never stop experimenting.
That's a really good point. It's easy to get comfortable doing things the way you've always done them, but in this fast-paced world, you have to adapt or you'll get left behind.
Yeah.
So we've talked about being customer-centric, personalization, storytelling, and this idea of continuous learning.
Yeah.
Are there any other big takeaways from the book that we should mention?
Yeah, one more that really stands out is this focus on building a strong online community. Woodford argues that in a world where trust and authenticity are so important, having a community of people who are passionate about your brand can be a huge advantage.
Okay, tell me more about that. How do you go about building an online community? Does the book give any specific advice?
It does. He suggests creating these dedicated online spaces where your customers can connect with each other, share their experiences, just hang out. This could be something like a private Facebook group, a forum on your website, even a Slack channel. And he also says it's important to be actively involved in that community, responding to comments, answering questions, maybe hosting online events, just creating opportunities for people to connect with each other.
So it's not just about building the space, it's about actually being present and nurturing that community.
Right. It's about creating a sense of belonging and shared purpose.
That's a really cool concept. And it makes sense that in a world that's becoming more and more digital, these online communities could play a big role in building brand loyalty. So to recap, it sounds like Woodford's book is basically a roadmap for navigating this new world of digital marketing. It's about understanding your customers, creating those personalized experiences, telling great stories, building a community, and always being willing to learn and adapt.
You got it. And I think the biggest takeaway from all of this is that even though the specific tactics and tools might change over time, the fundamental principles of good marketing stay the same. It's always going to be about connecting with people, building relationships, and providing value.
I like that. It's reassuring to hear. It's easy to get caught up in the latest trends and forget about the basics sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Now, remember earlier you said you were really interested in that idea of diversifying revenue streams. Do you want to explore that a little bit more?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think that's a huge part of adapting to this changing landscape.
Yeah.
We've talked about some general examples, but I'm curious to hear what specific strategies Woodford recommends in his book.
Well, the cool thing is he actually dedicates a whole chapter to this topic. He breaks down all sorts of different revenue models and gives concrete examples for different kinds of businesses.
All right, I'm ready. Give me the highlights. What are some of the revenue models he talks about?
Oh, he covers a lot of ground. He talks about everything from those traditional models like advertising and e-commerce to some more innovative approaches like subscription services, membership programs, online courses, digital products, even affiliate marketing where you earn a commission for promoting other businesses' stuff.
Wow, so many options. But how do you know which ones are right for your business? Does he give any advice on that?
He does. He gives this framework for figuring out which revenue model is best for you based on things like your target market, what resources you have, what you're good at, and your long-term goals for your business. And of course, he encourages people to experiment and see what works.
That makes sense. It's about figuring out what resonates with your audience and fits into your overall business strategy. So it sounds like Digital Marketing 2025 is full of great advice and strategies for this new era of digital marketing. I'm definitely adding this to my reading list.
Yeah, you should. It gives a really good perspective on how to embrace change and actually succeed in this constantly evolving world.
So, we've spent a lot of time talking about how SEO is changing and all these new strategies we need for digital marketing. But I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier about how AI is like totally changing how we find information online. Can we talk about that a little more? What does that actually look like for like the average person just using Google or whatever?
Oh, yeah, that's a really good point because a lot of these changes are happening behind the scenes, but they have a big impact on what we actually see when we search for something. Think about it. It used to be you'd type in a couple of keywords and just kind of hope for the best. And then you'd have to scroll through pages and pages of links to try to find what you were looking for. But now, search engines are using AI to actually understand what you mean when you search for something. They're pulling information from all over the place to give you a more direct answer.
So instead of just giving me a bunch of websites about like best coffee shops,
Yeah.
it might actually just tell me like the top rated coffee shops near me right now with the hours and reviews and everything.
Yeah, exactly. And it might even go further than that and give you personalized recommendations based on like what you've searched for before or even your location history. That's the crazy thing about AI. It's not just matching keywords anymore. It's trying to like anticipate what you need and give you a more personalized experience so you can find what you're looking for faster.
Okay, that's kind of amazing, but also a little creepy, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's cool how these search engines are getting so good at like reading our minds,
Yeah.
but it also makes you think about, privacy and all that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's a whole other conversation we could have about data privacy and the ethics of AI and all that. But for now, I think the big thing to focus on is how this shift toward AI-powered search is really impacting digital marketing.
Yeah. Okay. So like what? What are the big implications here?
Well, like we've been talking about, it means those traditional SEO strategies that everyone used to rely on, they're not working as well anymore. If search engines are just giving people direct answers and personalized recommendations, they're less likely to click on those individual websites, right? Which means businesses are getting less organic traffic.
And that's what has everyone freaking out, right? That SEO is dying and we need to like completely change everything about how we do digital marketing.
I mean, there's definitely some urgency, but I wouldn't say it's time to panic. I think it's more like a wake-up call. It's telling us we need to adapt, we need to evolve, try some new strategies. And I think that's where books like this Digital Marketing 2025 can be really helpful.
Okay, so going back to the book, you mentioned that it actually gives some practical advice on how to like succeed in this world of AI-driven search.
Yeah.
What are some of the things it talks about?
Well, one of the big things is this idea that we need to shift our focus from keywords to topics. So instead of just trying to rank for a specific keyword, think about the bigger topics that your audience is interested in, and then create really in-depth, comprehensive content that covers all aspects of that topic.
So instead of obsessing over like best coffee shops, maybe I would create content about like coffee culture or, specialty coffee brewing methods or something like that.
Exactly. It's about providing really valuable content that answers all sorts of questions and basically positions you as an expert on that topic. That kind of content is going to attract backlinks, people are going to share it on social media, and most importantly, it's going to engage your audience.
So we're still creating content, but we're just thinking about it differently. It's not just about checking off keywords on a list. It's about giving people real value and information.
Right. And that kind of content is more likely to get picked up by those AI-powered search engines too, because if your content gives really complete answers to all sorts of questions about a topic, it's more likely to show up in those featured snippets and knowledge panels and all those other AI-driven search results we were talking about before.
That makes a lot of sense. We're basically playing to the strengths of these new search engines.
Yeah.
But what about paid advertising? Does the book talk about how to use ads effectively in this new landscape?
It does. Woodford says it's really important to use paid ads to get your content out there and reach a wider audience. But he's very clear that it's not just about spending a ton of money on ads, it's about being strategic.
Okay, well, how do you do that? What's the secret?
He talks about using a combination of different targeting options like demographics, interests, behaviors, even retargeting, which is where you target people who have already interacted with your brand in some way. And he recommends trying out different ad formats and different platforms to see what works best for your audience and your budget.
So basically, using data and insights to make sure your ads are actually reaching the right people at the right time. And it sounds like you need to be willing to experiment and tweak things as you go.
Exactly. Woodford is all about that constant learning and optimizing. He says you should use A/B testing to compare different versions of your ads, track your results really carefully, and make changes as needed.
So it's not like you just set it and forget it. You have to really stay on top of things.
Right. And that just shows how important it is to understand data analytics so you can really make sense of all that information and use it to make good decisions about your marketing.
And that's where tools like HubSpot come in handy,
Yeah.
right? They can help you gather all that data, analyze it, and actually understand what it all means.
Exactly. HubSpot and all those other marketing automation platforms, they're super valuable because they give you all these insights that can help you improve your campaigns, track your progress, and make those data-driven decisions we keep talking about.
So just to recap, we've got this shift toward AI-powered search, SEO is changing, paid advertising is becoming more important, and we need to be making decisions based on data. It's a lot to keep track of.
It is, but it's also a really exciting time to be in digital marketing. There's so much innovation happening, and there's so much potential for businesses that are willing to change and try new things.
I think that's a really good point. It's easy to get overwhelmed and scared that everything's changing and we're going to get left behind. But really, change is good. It creates opportunities. And if we stay informed, if we stay open to new ideas, and if we keep learning, we can all do really well in this new digital world.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's a great note to end on.
Me too. So to wrap things up, I just want to thank you again for joining me today. This has been a really fascinating deep dive. And to all of you listening out there, thank you for tuning in. I hope this episode was helpful and maybe even a little bit inspiring. Remember, the key is to adapt, embrace the change, be curious, and never stop learning. And if you want to learn more about all of this, definitely check out Digital Marketing 2025 by Peter Woodford. It's full of practical advice and strategies to help you thrive in this crazy world of digital marketing. Until next time, keep on diving.